GBS should remain internal and focus within the company to become a vehicle for enterprise-wide transformation. We as GBS have to be continuously delivering value because otherwise we're going to cease to exist.
Welcome to GBS Masterminds Podcast Season 4. Should GBS be its own company? Should GBS continue to be in-house as a service center? Or should GBS offer its services for a profit? That's the topic. Today, our guest is Samir from NTT. Samir, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Sashi. How are you doing? Great to see you again. My name is Samir Jalundhwala. I lead GBS operations at NTT. I've been with the company for almost 2 years and got a career in shared services and outsourcing before that.
Right. Welcome to the podcast, Samir. We'll jump right in with a yes or no question for you. Should GBS act like entrepreneurs and take their services externally? We have seen that done in the past by few. Should they continue to focus on being internal as a service center? What are your thoughts?
Sashi, I think within that one question, you actually probably had two flavors of a question or two questions. So let me break it up into parts. So firstly, should GBS leaders act like entrepreneurs? So to that, my answer is absolutely yes. You have to earn your your place at the table. You have to earn the fees or money you're getting from your clients for sure. Now, the second part of your question was, and take their services externally or remain an internal GBS services. So I firmly believe that to give the focus needed internally, GBS should remain internal and focus within the company to become a vehicle for enterprise-wide transformation. What I mean by that is not just back office, it's not just mid office, it's end-to-end, it's having a seat at the table, having a seat on the board, and becoming a vehicle for enterprise-wide transformation while focusing maniacally on giving value into the business and transformation of the company itself. Now, let me explain why I say this, because if GBS were to sell its services externally, then it wouldn't be a GBS anymore. It's almost becoming like an outsourcing provider. Now, we have a great story and a great example here from the marketplace about 15 years ago or 20 years ago. You recall Genpact, or GBS as it was then known, broke away from GE. So GE did have an internal shared services, and they set up a separate company called GBS, and which eventually became Genpact, eventually got public listed, and GE, I believe, has only a minority stake in that company. But that is a company which is now externally selling services, and it's actually become an outsourcing company. It's no longer dedicated to GE, and GE has the full freedom to go and choose whatever internal, captive, or external outsourcing services they want. Now, if I think about NTT ourselves, now we are an IT services business. We sell a full stack of IT services. Now, GBS doesn't fit within that stack of services. So as a company, we have to focus on what is our core strength and where we want to be, while GBS internally focuses on providing the best services up the whole value chain. And if I think about, again, our own GBS journey, we did start off with captive centers. We actually had 3 locations in 3 regions. But these captive centers were not scaling. They were not providing the end-to-end transformation experience we were expecting. So we then moved to an entirely outsourced model with 2 outsourced providers. So we are still getting the best what's available in the marketplace through our outsourced GBS, because we needed the competencies, the capabilities, and speed from these 2 very experienced companies. So that would be my answer, Sashi.
Awesome. So maybe a follow-up question to that, Samir. So if GBS does not go external, I'm trying to think about what is the future end state for a GBS organization. Of course, in the beginning, when your GBS is new, there is a lot of work to do. But I've seen like a lot of GBS organizations are fairly mature, multi-function, multi-location, business value is mostly optimized. Then what next? Because you're kind of limited by your company, right? So I'm just curious, is there a risk of plateauing or is there other optionality?
Well, there's still a very long way to go. In GBS, we're at the beginning of the journey. Even if I look 5, 7, 8 years ahead, there's so much to do. And actually, I'll take the opportunity to share my favorite quote, Sashi, that shared services or GBS is a journey, not a destination. You might have a 5-year vision now, and you'll get there. You'll realize that you need another 5-year vision to deliver the services and value beyond that. So for our GBS in NTT, we are some of our immediate priorities are along the lines as you would expect, and some are more longer term. So if I would kind of divide it into maybe 4 different areas. So the first one would be transformation. As you know, we built this GBS with 2 outsourced providers. It was primarily a lift and shift approach. So we are very much focused on delivering transformation now with world-class and leading tools. So that's our initial stage taking us into next year. We then have a plan to going broader, deeper, and wider into the different processes. So let me start with deeper actually first, because deeper means going into a particular process. We do 5 value streams today. So it's procure to pay, order to cash, record to report, hire to retire, and opportunity to order. Within these areas, we still see a lot of scope to go after, and our plan is to go deeper. Even if in my knowledge of the GBS market, if you take even something like R2R, record to report, not many companies have gone down the absolute last mile where even statutory reporting and tax reporting is outsourced. So even within existing traditional stacks of GBS processes, there is much more to go after. Second, we're going to go wider across country scopes because we don't have all the countries. We have 22 countries within GBS today. We'll be going wider where we don't have a presence today. And third, we'll be going after more value streams. So we don't do much in the strategic procurement area, as an example. Master data management is actually a 6th value stream we're building as we speak. Third-party risk management could be yet another value stream. So there is a lot to go after within to broaden the scope of GBS services. Third, our vision is to build GBS as a center of excellence, and that center of excellence is for various things: a center of excellence for data, center of excellence for automation, center of excellence for any kind of process improvement and transformation. And fourth, we are actually now part of NTT Data Inc. So that's now a $30 billion IT powerhouse. And there is a lot of integration activity to be done. So for sure, we would leverage what we've already built to make an impact across the combined wider company. So a lot even internally to go after.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to switch gears on that note to the next topic, which is around talent. As you know, interest rates are probably like all-time high over the last decade. Unemployment is the all-time low. So everybody is still struggling for getting talent. Added to that, a lot of complexities around RTO, hybrid, work from home requests, all that stuff. So thinking about GBS for you as an example at NTT, how do you attract talent?
Okay, so let me take that in maybe a couple of parts. So firstly, the kind of model we chose, which is go to an outsourced GBS model, certainly has helped us with expanding the talent pool available, right? And of course, I say we're outsourced today. We in future might consider a hybrid model where certain functions are kept in-house. So we can discuss a bit more about that. But by working with 2 outsized providers, we're actually expanding the talent pool to 2 very experienced providers in the marketplace. Now, one reason we did that was we given the pace of change we wanted to adopt and what we had to deliver as ourselves, we wouldn't have been able to build or retain that kind of talent pool. So we've kind of expanded this by getting capabilities and competencies from a wider talent pool, where Then within those companies, you have the finance specialists, you have the HR specialists, and they build careers within those outsourced companies. So this is almost like a sourcing model decision on where best the talent sits, and then how best you can leverage talent. Because today I'm leveraging talent from NTT, I'm leveraging talent from both service providers. So, and we actually adopt a one team, one dream approach. So you're using talent uh, from the best area which is available to then actually help you fulfill your requirements. I do see the opportunity where sometime in the future we would probably have a hybrid model. I do see we may have then very skilled staff within the captive part of the hybrid model. We will have to work hard to retain the team there. So
Yeah.
it's very likely that we'll have to keep attract those teams to us and keep them engaged with career paths within our own internal GBS.
So it seems like the key takeaway there is what you're suggesting is, and you're doing this at NTT, which is you have to think about hybrid. Hybrid starts with, of course, you need to build your own in-house talent, but you need to partner with outsources to get the best of both worlds. And it also looks like you're looking at multiple outsources as well to increase the optionality. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, diversify the risk. Absolutely.
One last question before we close. This is around value. So, of course, GBS's sole existence is based on creating value to your stakeholders, the business stakeholders. But bringing that focus on value into actual execution is hard. What do you suggest to bring that maniacal focus on value to GBS?
Okay, a few things here, Sashi, but I think you said it. We as GBS have to be continuously delivering value because otherwise we're going to cease to exist. So that's paramount, and value way beyond cost and efficiency. So then if you start then thinking about the capabilities we have built in NTT and are continuing to build through our transformation path, we have a lot of skills and a lot of things to offer to the rest of the companies. Firstly, we're sitting on a lot of data. A lot of the ERPs, a lot of the access to data is sitting with us within GBS. We have access of it. We have overview of it like nobody else in the company. Secondly, we're also building capabilities on process transformation. So process analysis, deep process mining tools such as Signavio. How do you take a process, dissect it, transform it, automate it? How do you use the best of technologies to do that? So we have to continuously use all those skill sets to deliver much more. And straight in the finance process, if you think about it, we of course accounts receivable, collections, no doubt about it. That's what actually your product is all about. But also billing is another key area. Revenue leakage. Most industries have a revenue leakage ratio of 1 to 2%. Can you believe it? 1 to 2% of revenue.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of money, right?
Especially if you do it as a percentage of margin. That's
exactly. Yeah. Maybe that's the way a GBS model going to the business. And okay, I'm going to take a revenue share for whatever I recover. So revenue leakage, great example of another area where GBS could offer much more value beyond cost savings. Strategic sourcing, I mentioned briefly, but accumulating spend and ensuring compliance to whatever negotiated contracts is area. So there are a huge number of areas where GBS can continue to deliver value. And they deliver value through their talent and the teams who have all the data expertise, process expertise, as I mentioned. They have access to the latest technologies, AI, ML, Gen AI in future, and while always being outcome focused and delivering that value back to the business.
Got it. Samir, I know how busy you are. Thank you for taking time and being a guest on this podcast. Good luck with everything you're doing at NTT with GBS.
Great. Thank you, Sashi, and thank you for having me on this.